Happy Saturday, and welcome to the Ram Ashram Satsang Weekend Workshop, where you'll learn a modern scientific method for obtaining peace, light, and love in your life. My name is Eddie. I've been practicing Satsang for over 14 years, and today I will be presenting the facilitator for today's event. But first, I'd like to give you a brief introduction to this weekend workshop. If you direct your attention towards your screen, you'll see that the first element is Satsang. Satsang is a scientific method whereby we may obtain peace, light, and love in our life. It requires no physical skill, spiritual accomplishment, or meditation experience to begin its practice. Satsang consists of two words, Sat and Sang. Sat means positive energy, and Sang means to be with or to be in the presence of. Therefore, the word Satsang means to be in the presence of positive energy. The next element is meditation. Meditation is an important element of Satsang. When we meditate, we withdraw our consciousness from worldly objects and direct it inwards to focus on a single thought. In doing so, our minds become calm and our thoughts become pure, thereby allowing us to obtain higher states of consciousness such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. Inner orientation. There are two types of satsangs, inner satsang and outer satsang. An example of outer satsang would be chanting or attending pilgrimages. When we practice outer satsang, we have the potential to change our behavior. But only through the practice of inner satsang can we obtain higher states of consciousness such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. The satsang that you will learn today is an inner satsang where we meditate in silence. Group session. These weekend workshops are structured for group participation. When we meditate as a group, our focus is improved and our personal progress along our spiritual path is expedited. By regularly attending these weekend workshops, the benefits of group participation are amplified. Joy and inner happiness. All beings wish to experience joy. Joy is the eternal longing of the soul, but only through the practice of inner satsang can we obtain a joyous state. Each time we practice satsang, our inner happiness gradually increases, ultimately culminating in a state of joy, which we experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The agenda for today consists of 3 sessions. the informative session, the practice session, and the interactive session. During the informative session, a lecture will be given about a satsang topic, the founder, or some relevant spiritual topic. During the practice session, instruction will be given on how to meditate, followed by a period of practice. During the interactive session, you have the opportunity to ask questions, or there'll be a panel discussion. And now, I'd like to introduce the facilitator for today's event. He has over 40 years of satsang experience. He's the grandson of Guru Maharaj, who is the founder of Ram Ashram Satsang. He was born into a satsang family where he experienced his family members obtain states of enlightenment and lead lives of peace, light, and love. At an early age, he began traveling with the mission throughout India conducting satsangs. During that time, he became very aware of the positive effects of satsang on society at large. And upon arriving here in the United States, both he and his wife continued to conduct satsang for local satsangees. He has led teams of satsang members in translating important satsang literature into English and has worked tirelessly to make satsang more accessible to Western and English-speaking audiences. He currently travels throughout India and the United States conducting satsangs while maintaining his duties as a husband, a father, and an IT executive. Today, he will teach us an ancient and rare form of satsang as taught by Guru Maharaj. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Sanjeev Kumarji.
So happy Saturday, everyone, and welcome here. Welcome to the Satsang family. We will practice satsang in a few minutes. So I've said this multiple times, like the time before the practice, I consider as transitioning into deep meditation, which we do in silence. And time after that is more transition out. I have been recording, thinking about what is satsang, so several topics. These days, what's in focus is yoga and satsang, and how Maharishi Patanjali thousands of years ago, pulled together a framework which had 8 limbs. So if a body has 8 limbs, he described those, and a lot of people think that it's like, should we go bottom up, top down, middle of the road? Each limb in your body kind of grows, in tandem. So a lot of these things are very interrelated in a way that they evolve together. So in that series, I think finally I'm coming to the conclusion that this English format, which has been experimented for quite a while, but keeping the original aspects and bringing some newer nuances, continued to evolve. And I think we have gotten a format which is not too far from the original and keeps all the elements of, as I said, like transition in, transition out, sharing some concepts around satsang, because in 1930, Guru Maharaj initiated this, opened it to public, and I still remember hearing that in his initial sessions, he would actually write stuff on paper, and in the sessions he would share with everyone and ask for feedback. And in the 30s, he established a printing press and started a monthly journal. So all in Hindi. now I think things are evolving to kind of do pretty much the same thing, but in English. So I am going to I'm planning a session in London in person, here in Virginia, and one in Hyderabad and Bangalore pretty soon, so in the next few weeks. So let's go into a little deeper into the yoga and satsang and how they're related, and what the common elements are and what are the differences, and then we'll go into how to meditate, the process that Guru Maharaj kind of refined and simplified, but kept all the elements that continue to progress you towards yoga, which is the union of body, mind, and spirit. So we'll see the video, then I'll describe how to meditate, and then we'll get into the practice. You want? I had been thinking about to just define yoga and satsang. The definitions are very, very similar. So satsang is to be with, sang is to be with, and sat is positive energy. So to be with positive energy is satsang. Now yoga, a lot of people think that it's mostly about poses, physical exercises, and breathing exercises. Let's go back, step back. Like yoga means yog, which is union of what? In satsang, we become one with this transcendental energy. So that union would make us like the energy. So that's the goal and cannot be achieved without meditation. So satsang is all about meditation, and I think yoga is too. For example, Gita, also called yogic scripture, and I mean, it does describe some things, but mostly it doesn't have any description of asanas or pranayams. It is a yogic scripture. Let's step back. One of the biggest masters of yoga was Maharishi Patanjali. And he did a lot of research and documentation. And one of the things he came up with was the Ashtanga Yoga. Now, to tell you the truth, on the internet, I searched for Ashtanga Yoga and found more description about poses and physical exercises, etc. But Ashtanga Yoga the meaning is 8 limbs of yoga. So if we have a body and we have all the limbs, if yoga was a body, it would have 8 limbs. Asanas and pranayams are 2 of them. Yam and niyam is the other 2, so 4 of them. But the other 4 are all about meditation and meditative practices. Pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, and samadhi. So he created a framework. So any meditative practice that is prevalent or you want to look at, if it has these 8 limbs, then it would be a yogic practice. So satsang essentially, and especially described by Guru Maharaj, my grandfather, Dr. Chaturgut Sahaji, he clearly focused on pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, and samadhi as the main or the core focus, while service is also part of it, being with the guru is also part of it, but pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, and samadhi is absolutely at the core. So now what does pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, and samadhi mean? So let's take dharana first. So dharana is your object of concentration or what you want to manifest in your meditation. It's very important. What do you want to manifest? People want to manifest love, relationship, money, etc. They want to go back to the materialistic things which away from inner peace, away from your real goal of yoga or satsang. So
Yes, even in Indian scriptures, you would find a lot of ways to manifest other things, including love and money. I don't see too much harm in that, and that's your goal. But if you want to achieve inner peace, if you want to achieve higher consciousness, manifest something else. For example, Guru Maharaj talked about manifesting transcendental energy in form of light. And that itself is like, if you imbibe positive energy, you will be positive. You can, when you are able to receive and store immense amount of positive energy, you will affect others with that positive energy. That's the ultimate goal of following a satsang meditative practice. Coming back to dharana, what do you want to manifest? What is your object of concentration? When you meditate, what will be your starting point? What will you visualize? What will you imagine? And that here is transcendental energy in form of light. So basically, you will start with that thought that this energy is in front of you and it's entering your heart and distributing throughout your body. So essentially, you are becoming one with this energy. That's your dharana, that's your imagination, that's your manifestation. When you go deep in it, it becomes your meditation. So that's dhyan. So dharana and dhyan, two of the key limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, are absolutely integral to the meditative practice that we do and a lot of other meditative practices that follow Ashtanga or the yogic way of meditating. Now, pratyahara is about looking inwards. It's also about, when you get distracted, coming back to your object of concentration. So pratyahara is integral to any meditative practice anyway, because when you get distracted from your meditation, when you get distracted from your manifestation, somehow the barrage of thoughts distract you or take you away from what you want to manifest, you have to bring your thoughts back. You have to, it's essential to understand that peace and the goal of this acquiring enlightenment is all inside. So you have to imbibe this energy within. So looking inwards is very essential part of a deep meditative practice like satsang. So I always say there are lots and lots of meditative practices, but the deep, heartful meditative practices like satsang, you have to look inwards, you have to manifest and take the higher road, manifest transcendental energy in form of light. You go deeper and become one with it when you achieve that. So meditation is the process. When you achieve that oneness with that energy, that is when samadhi becomes true. So dharana is manifestation. Going deeper into it is dhyan, which is meditation in itself, the process. Achieving that state of being with that transcendental energy and becoming that transcendental energy, that is samadhi. And when you are in the process of meditation, which is dhyan, if distractions come, and if your distraction is going outwards, your focus is going outwards, bringing it back again inwards and bringing it back to your meditation and manifestation, that is pratyahara. So pratyahara, dharana, dhyan, samadhi. Manifest transcendental energy, develop a practice which is dhyan, go deeper is dhyan. Achieving that state of union is samadhi. And pratyahara is just part of this exercise, this process of dharana, dhyan, and samadhi, where looking inwards and bringing your thoughts and meditation back into focus when distractions do come. Essentially, what I want to say is satsang is very much a yogic practice. While Guru Maharaj said that just by sitting in the lotus posture or even sitting still for your meditation, that's your asana. That is your physical pose. When you meditate deeper in satsang, your breathing gets balanced. That's your pranayama. And when you practice all this, your behavior gets better. When your behavior gets better, the yam and niyam, which are the traits that you want to keep and the traits you want to give up, come together as well. So satsang actually it fits. So Ashtanga Yoga was a framework, then satsang would fit in pretty well, and it would be a yogic meditative practice.
So interestingly, this video kind of describes what we are going to do now, the practice itself, in quite some detail. But, I also call this guided meditation, not because, while you're meditating, somebody is repeating some stuff which you like, but which is good. But to get deeper into real deep meditation, which we're going to practice, we have to go into silence. And another set of videos that I'm working on is like, these days, culturally and otherwise, how we underestimate silence is in itself quite something. And there was a sage in southern India, Maharishi Raman. He wrote quite some eloquently about the value, significance, and the place that silence needs to have in your lifestyle and your day to day. So we will meditate in silence, but it is guided in the sense that it starts with instruction, which you will hear soon, or part of it, I think you have already heard in the video. But so instructions, and then music to transition in. And, so why such elaborate transition in? There's so much talk about it. And in some ways it is part of transition in, because mind is very, very difficult to, switch into a deep silent meditation. And sometimes it's much easier, and sometimes it's like really, really, it's not just difficult, it feels like it's impossible to focus and concentrate on one thing, or even leave that and go in total inward and outward silence. So that is why Guru Maharaj, right from day one, he had instructions built in. Every session starts with instructions. There were elaborate prayers for like almost 15 minutes. And then the actual deep meditation would start, and then prayers for another 5 minutes after that. So I've converted those prayers into music. So you will have about 5 to 7 minutes of music up front, then deep meditation in silence, and then music for a few minutes after that. All right, so let's get into how to meditate. So number one, sitting still, very, very, very important, because every time your body moves, your mind moves with it. So sitting still, with eyes lightly closed. And again, eyes lightly closed, because to focus inwards, eyes and mind is always going outward towards the surroundings, and even to other places. So we want to focus the mind inwards. So eyes lightly closed, sit in a relaxed posture in a way that the body movements are minimized for the next several minutes while we meditate, because every bodily movement distracts our mind, and sensory input into the eyes also distracts the mind. So eyes lightly closed, sit in a relaxed posture, observe that your body is strain-free, relaxed completely, and in a posture that we can keep still for a while. Now, think of this transcendental energy right here, right now, with us, in front of us, surrounding us, in form of light. And this light is entering our heart and distributing throughout our body. And we are becoming one with this light. We're getting completely and totally immersed in this light. So, there is no activity. So sometimes for beginners, it becomes a little difficult, and they try to visualize, and try to make effort. And I emphasize that it should be effortless. And all this transition in is working towards getting you into a deeper meditation. So just relax, keep a still but relaxed posture, eyes lightly closed, and just manifest this transcendental, feel that you are in the presence of this transcendental energy in form of light that's entering your heart, and it's distributing throughout your body, and you're becoming one with this light. And as you go deeper into meditation, you will forget about yourself. You'll forget about what you're trying to manifest. You'll forget about who you are, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where we want to be. But as soon as we become aware that the mind has gone elsewhere, just bring it back to this thought and this thought alone, that we are in the presence of this transcendental energy in form of light that's in front of us. It's entering our heart, distributing throughout our body, and we are becoming one with this light. All right, let's start now. So happy Saturday, everyone. I see a lot of folks who have been here and folks who are new. So welcome to the Satsang family. And this interactive session is primarily just to ask questions, share comments, and any suggestions, any experiences, etc. So happy Saturday, Liz. How are you? Are people able to unmute?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Good to see you all. Good to meditate with you all as always. I'm doing well. I was thinking actually about the definition that you provide for the word satsang, to be with positive energy. And I had a question. I know I must have explored this topic once before with you all, but my question is, we do satsang together as a group, but what if when you're meditating, you're outside in nature, or you're with, I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but maybe when you're with your pets, like, and they have good energy, or like you're outside with the trees and the birds and they have their own energy. Like, can you actually have satsang in that sense, even though you're not with a group of people, but you're with living beings outside? Can you still have satsang?
So the answer is absolutely yes, right? The question, I think, is, so let's step back here. So what is satsang, right? And believe it or not, like, finally, I think I am concluding my quest for setting up like a course or something that will describe what is satsang in a more elaborate way. So I'm getting very close to that, but that's aside. So the thing is that if we can connect with higher consciousness, connect with pure cosmic energy, anywhere, right? It can be in nature, it can be at home, it can be in a group, and it can be with someone who has achieved that state in a very deep and abundant manner. Being with them also becomes satsang. So interestingly, satsang is also a destination and satsang is also a process. So when we manifest this energy, we are in the process. When we actually have manifested it, or when we achieve samadhi with it, then we have achieved the target state. I think what you're saying is that a lot of times in nature and with surroundings which kind of almost automatically connect you with with a state which is otherwise not possible. So it just feels that, and that is why, like, people go to retreats, and I think what I have found is, like, earlier all big cities were around water. So water also is something that we kind of, it's practical and pragmatic, but I think there is something to it that we, go to the beach to feel, it kind of reconnect and refresh and all that, right? So, so the answer is yes, but and sometimes I kind of connect. You ask a question and I go somewhere completely different. So right now, we talk about unicorns and things like that. In Indian context, there is a bird which I don't think exists, but it's called Hans. So Paramhans is actually a state a person can achieve. It's described as, somebody who can, so Hans can, pick the positive and leave the negative. That's, I'm just kind of interpreting it my own way here. But so you are in nature, but a lot of people go in the nature and they might not be in the state that you're describing. So if you are in the nature and if you're absorbing this positive energy and you're connecting with nature in ways that uplifts you, something has to be done to get to that point in some ways. It's not 100% all the time. So if you can do that there, then the question becomes, why can't I do it right now, right here? Right? And then it becomes like, okay, so and then let's go a little further. So if you figured out a way that you can connect with positive energy anytime, or like maybe you start with nature and you start connecting and getting to higher. I mean, if I read Indian scriptures, most of the sages used to go to the Himalayas or deep in jungles and in the nature to connect with higher consciousness and higher awareness. And if you're able to do that, the question then becomes, and Guru Maharaj asks, like, okay, so if you can do that, then try to do it everywhere you are. So not just there, but figure out that process and do it at home, at work, at wherever you are, right? And once you figure that out and you have a store, a capacity of that energy, then let's start sharing it. And how do you do that? It's like, this is a group. Some are, at this stage, some are at that stage, some are at that state. And now, deliberately or otherwise, we're now sharing that. And now there's collective energy. What I found was, yes, going in nature is great. Yes, sitting in a group is great. But then also, interestingly, any one of us and, who becomes abundant with this transcendental energy and can stay at higher conscious states more consistently, more longer, etc., then gets to a point where anybody who comes in their contact feels it. And in Indian context, those were called gurus. It got misutilized, etc., but that's essentially the way I look at the concept of guru. The person who has light, love, and peace in such abundance that you don't have to hear them, you don't have to, that might be even better, but you just be in their presence and you'll feel it. So did I take it elsewhere or?
No, you answered it. You answered my question. I feel a little bit more clear on that. Thank you. Thank you, Sanjay.
Somewhere I was reading that we're all made of star stuff. We are connected in ways that we don't understand. Consciousness, actually, a lot of people are actually on the internet and otherwise are starting to talk that consciousness is not something we have or don't have. It is like gravity. It's like a universal force. And so even, like trees have consciousness. And so in nature where I think it's an elevated level of connectedness with higher consciousness, maybe, but then why just there is the question I would ask. We need to figure out to stay positive, stay uplifted, stay in higher consciousness states. when we want and for how long and as long as we want.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Yeah.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, but we can always try. So thanks, Liz. But one more question for you. So I know you have tried various yogic practices also. So what do you think of this video and the concept that, yoga is beyond just physical and breathing exercises?
Oh, I think that makes sense. I mean, I think it depends on where the person is and how best the process that they utilize. I mean, if they need to utilize a process that gets them there, and each person is very individual, right? So they'll have different ways to do that. And for some people, it'll be the physical that'll get them there. Some people don't need that at this point in their lives. They can go straight into how we do it. I think I like sitting in silence. I think that's a really good way to do it. But sometimes, some people need to do it in another way and they'll get there. So, but it makes sense to me. Does that answer your question?
No, I think you are kind of resonating something we discussed last week, and also that, it's like when you do asanas and pranayams and physical exercises and breathing exercises, it kind of takes you, logically, the next step becomes, deeper meditation, and, so it grounds you in ways.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's some kind of, I'm not equipped with the vocabulary, but I'm sure doing those things work certain chemicals in your brain, and at some point it'll help facilitate getting into the kind of meditative state necessary to feel the transcendental energy. So, but if you could get there any which way, like directly, it's beneficial. If you don't need to go through extra steps and you can just directly get to it and connect with it, it's beneficial. But I don't know if that makes sense.
Yep. So hello. Other comments, questions?
जी परम पूज्य के श्री चरणों में सादर प्रणाम। हेलो।
या
जी, मेरा प्रश्न अगर आप कहे तो हिंदी में ज्यादा रिलेट कर पाते हैं तो हिंदी में पूछ सकते हैं?
तो अभी थोड़ी देर में बात करते हैं।
जी।
So Gina, Beth, Shivangi, any?
Yeah, Bhayaji, there is a question in chat. They ask, how can awareness become aware of itself by this practice?
So, I was reading an article a while back. This is one human capability that is different from other conscious beings, is that through our inner workings, the mind, the brain, and consciousness, the way it works is that at the higher states of consciousness, in a way, it's also called self-realization for that reason, that the awareness becomes aware of itself. So you as you go deeper into this meditation, actually on this note, I think we can Yuan, can you bring the pyramid? I think it kind of talks about the milestones that you need to achieve to get to that eventual state. I mean, Guru Maharaj called it the ocean of peace, but it is where this, so light, love, and peace to me is the realm of knowledge, realm of love. So those are the top two realms that you get to. So the realm of the world and realm of life. So there are like these 5 milestones that's, Upanishads described thousands of years ago. I kind of like this because one, it talks about vertical progress. 2, it kind of gives milestones to the journey to the top. And so if I think it's the realm of love where this awareness itself becomes aware, that state kind of comes. So because we do deep silent meditation, Guru Maharaj used to say that we kind of start the process at the realm of the mind. This realm is very long and treacherous, but once you cross that, in the realm of knowledge is where the third eye opens up, and your clarity of seeing things becomes far deeper, far broader. And in the realm of love, unconditional giving, unconditional love appears. So those are like almost hardwired states that you achieve. But it is, through a process like this, you cross the realm of mind, and then you get to the light, love, and peace, which I call the target state of satsang. Yeah. So Sarah, Kelly, Lily, any comments, questions? And good to see you all, Gina. So other thoughts, questions, comments? Very quiet. Yeah. Dr. Vipin, you want?
Very, very good evening to you, Sanjeev Sahab.
Namaskar.
Namaskar. I wanted to be very clear about the transcendental light that you mentioned in the meditation that we had.
Mm-hmm.
Was this transcendental light a manifestation or some form of analogy to the consciousness that we are? Was it some form of, can I understand it as what Vedanta calls as Brahman? Was it a manifestation? Was it a glimpse of that? Thank you very much. Would you please make it clear?
So, so I think what happens when we start our concentration, which is, as we discussed, it's like object of concentration, what we're trying to imagine, what we're trying to manifest. That is where we begin. So we could, whatever we believe in, could be a starting point. Here, the way I look at it is, so the most positive, uplifting, energy that we can think of in any form that you described would work. The reason I feel that, even the most positive imagination that we can have would probably still be falling short, because one of the examples that I sometimes think about is like, sun is 93 million miles away, and it is pretty much responsible for all life on Earth. But in the galaxy, there are millions of such suns. And so if you were to think about the cosmic energy, how would you fathom that? How would you even imagine or manifest that? So it is beyond us. So, but we have to take a starting point somewhere, and it could be whatever, so that is why I think I personally feel that people fight about the concept of God, not because of anything else but ignorance, because it's very difficult to fathom such an abstract and such a enormously broad and deep concept that you just cannot fathom. So that's yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Kelly and Lily, for the note. Yeah. Any other thought, questions? Gina, thank you for being here. Yeah, I definitely really enjoyed the session. So if there are other questions or comments, please, just raise your hand or unmute. And Eddie, would you please then wrap up for today?
Yeah, I'm reminded of the story of the Wizard of Oz when Dorothy was told that all she had to do, she always had the power within her, and all she had to do was click her heels 3 times, and she had the ability to go home. So you showed the pyramid today, and you showed the 5 spiritual levels that we have to progress through. And we've always had the power within us to do that. And that process has been described as collecting those 8 limbs, basically developing our mind and collecting those 8 limbs. And we can make that transition through those 5 spiritual zones to return home. And so Guru Maharaj has said that people, when they're ready, when they've realized or become aware that material things don't bring them the joy and desire that they hope for, they turn to this path. And so Ram Ashram is here to basically help you develop those limbs, to bring you that transcendental life that you can therefore then use to return home. So you've always had the power. What we do here is we plant the seeds, and hopefully you'll cultivate them, they'll grow within you, and then you can return home. And so that's why we're here, to have you take advantage of us so that you can achieve that state of joy that you've been looking for, that you haven't realized yet. So, thank everyone for coming, and hopefully we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, happy Saturday and happy week ahead, everyone. Yeah, glad to have you all here. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjeevji. Namaskar, everyone.
Namaskar.
Thank
Take
you
care,
all.
everyone. Have a good weekend.
नमस्ते भैया।